This all used to be soybeans, but things change. You see the sky, kind of gross, kind of ugly. Got the jacket on. This is kind of like what Michigan is like half of the year. But anyway, that's not why I'm out here. I'm out here because Raquel's sleeping, and if I take a nap, I'm gonna be up all night, and I don't want to do that. So I figured I'd give you guys a little story time. And this story has a point, I promise. In one of my earlier vlogs, I told the story of my life, and in a portion of that, I talked about this girl that I dated, who I really liked, whose dad made it very, very clear he didn't like me. I'm gonna tell you guys that story today. So it starts with me, sophomore year of high school. I meet this girl. She was a freshman, and we begin to talk. Her dad knew that we were talking and was like, that's not a thing. But you know, love persists, right? So anyway, after a while, I kind of muster up the courage to go to him, and I sit down with him and I say, hey, you know me. I really have feelings for your daughter. I'd like to get your blessing, your permission to date her. You know, and he did the whole dad thing. I don't care about going to jail. Try me. And this was a big dude. Like, maybe some of you guys know me in person, some of you don't, but I am short. This man must have been like 12'7". How are you today, sir? So we start dating, and I begin to notice that, okay, your dad really doesn't like me, but I think he's gonna get over that once he sees how respectful I am, and you know, he's just gotta get used to me. Well, anyway, we dated for a year and a half, and like a year and a half later, that man was still ice cold to me. And the thing is, no one would believe me. Like, I tell these stories, and he was very charismatic. The youth in the church loved this guy. But with me, it was different, right? I think of this one story. We were at home watching a movie, and at their house watching a movie. And mind you, this is before I could drive. Things were different. And we're watching this thing, and all of a sudden, he just pauses the movie in the middle of it, and he looks at me, he's like, get out. Okay. I'll see you all later. It was raining. I didn't have a car, so I like stood outside and waited for my mom to come get me. And when my mom showed up, I was like, oh yeah, like, I just heard you coming and I walked outside, don't worry about it. But the truth is, dude said, get the heck out of my house. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. Anyway, over the year and a half that we dated, he did all types of crazy stuff to me. But this was the, like, steel beam that broke the camel's back, if you will. My grandmother, she wasn't doing well. It was her time, but she was in the hospital, and she was getting like quadruple bypass and a valve repair. It was a lot. And my ex's mom, she asked, oh, how's your grandmother doing? And I said, oh, you know, she's been in surgery for hours today. We're gonna go visit her later. But you know, from what we understand, she's doing okay. And her mom says, oh, well, how'd she get that way? And I said, oh, well, you know, my grandmother wasn't really like a Christian. So she just, you know, lived the lifestyle. She drank and she smoked in excess. And, you know, now it caught up to her. And so that's what's happening. This man, without missing a beat, looks at me and says, well, sinners deserve what they get. What? Now, here's a little thing about me. If you say something like super crazy to me like that, I go into like shock, right? It doesn't register in my mind what you just said. Because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way homie just said something so whack. There's no way. So I'm like frozen in confusion. I say, I've gotta go home. Yeah. And I get in the car and I'm driving. At this point I can drive, haha. And I get in the car and I'm driving and it starts to dawn on me. No, he actually just said that. And so the next day I see him, I say, hey, I need to talk to you. And I say, listen, like, you've said a lot of crazy stuff to me, you've done crazy stuff to me, but that's my grandmother, man. Like, you don't have the right to say that. I think that you need to apologize to me. And he goes, oh, man. And then he spends the next like 15 minutes telling me exactly why he does not like me. And it basically was, I don't think that you're a man. You're soft. And I responded and I said, you know what, man? For a year and a half, I've been nothing but good to you, your wife, your daughter, and your son. I've respected all of you, but I no longer respect you. I'm gonna keep going and respecting them, but you and I, like, we don't have to kick it. That's cool. Peace. And I said to myself, if I had married this girl, I would have had this dude breathing down my neck my entire life. And it put this thought in my mind that, you know, someday when I do get married, the in-laws are just as important. You see, this goes overlooked a lot in young couples. When we get married, we overlook the importance and the significance of your in-laws. You marry the in-laws also. I don't know if you know this, but it's a package deal. And the Bible says this, right, about marriage. You know, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, and then it says, that is why a man leaves his father and his mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. That's true. Your wife is your priority. Your husband is your first priority. But it's foolish to think that your parents and their parents aren't going to influence your lives anymore. Like, you get married and suddenly they just like Thanos fade away. That doesn't happen. They stay around and they're important. It's good to have them around. So I had that dad, right, and my ex in high school. That was the context of like in-laws in my head. Because after that, I really didn't date anyone else until I started dating Raquel. The first night I went to go take Raquel somewhere, I expected it to just be her. I was gonna pull in, pick her up, take her out. But when I pulled up, what I saw was Raquel and her dad outside waiting for me. Now, this is something that my ex's dad would do. Like, whenever I came over, he'd be waiting, all like, he'd be all flexing. What are you guys doing, huh? And it was all, all my business. So it was like a parallel. And I literally was like, I was driving and I saw it and I was like, here we go. I step out of the car and I'm still respectful. I'm not a savage. I go to shake his hand. I go to introduce myself. And this man embraces me in a hug. And I was like, what? He said, oh, it's so good to see you. You guys have fun. I'll see you all when you come back. Painless. And these are my in-laws now. That's my father-in-law. And we get along so well. I have never felt like he and I were in any kind of competition or that we were trying to like he was belittling me. Never. That's never happened. My mother-in-law is one of the most selfless people on the planet. She wakes up before everybody, makes sure that everybody's good for the day, and just has so much love for everyone and her daughter. And my in-laws are great. Men and women, as you are preparing to get married or you're thinking about it in the future, this is my call to action for you. Pay attention to your in-laws, because your in-laws could quite literally make or break your marriage. I hope all of that makes sense. To my in-laws, I know that they watch. They're kind of like my #1 fans. Thank you for everything that you've done for Raquel and for me. Thank you for trusting me to love your daughter the way that she deserves to be loved and to care for her. We hope we make y'all proud someday. And to everybody else who's watching, married or not, man, the big takeaway, guys, the in-laws are important. You marry them too. If you like this kind of stuff, if you want to hear about, you know, the experience of being young and married, I could do more videos on it. I think it could be cool. So let me know if you like them, and I will see you next time. Bye.